Peasant Productions presents the math of ESP. Why it works, even if you don't believe it. Okay, now, like I say, we got this whole difference between a one-world government dictatorship and an actual planetary system of leadership. Maybe I should throw the word government out the door. The idea of the whole planet working together, there's some very, very important things to stop and consider, because we're going to look at exactly what's going on your planet right this minute as I'm talking, okay? Now, like I said, food, okay? Monsanto has polluted an awful lot of the world with its GMO, genetically modified object. It doesn't reproduce seed that is viable, so you cannot take a GMO corn and break the corn off and throw it in the ground and it's going to grow more. Okay, that is a dictatorship wanting you to come back to that one corporation. Actually, it's fascism dictator, but that is a fascism system. Okay, you are forced to come back to a single person, a single entity to buy your food. You have people like Nestle saying that it's not a human right to have clean water or have access to water, even it is a commercial corporation right to extract all waters and sell it to those other people at a cost. Problem. Okay. Right now you have major weather problems going on all over. You have flooding. You have huge storms. The storms are wiping out all kinds of roadways and railways and airports and seaports. I mean, you name it, things are getting really badly messed up. Okay? The United States is going through, like the 6th or 7th storm this year, and we're only, 35, 36, well, let's say today's the 7th, so we're 38 days into the year, and the United States is getting snockered with storms that are literally wiping out the infrastructure. You don't have the ability to travel anywhere. You don't have the ability to deliver anything anywhere. You have hurricanes. You have earthquakes. You have volcanoes. And you also have what's called the sun up there, which at any time, whether it is a grand solar minimum or a grand solar maximum, it doesn't matter. Humans do not control when that solar flare is going to blast out in the direction of this planet. So what happens if your internet system gets hit with a X3 class solar flare where electrical wires are literally melting in thin air? And yes, it happened. Go back and look in the I believe it was 1968. Canada and Northeast America were literally fried off of the power grid for, I don't know, it was like a week before anybody could even begin to get any kind of serviceable power again, as literally power lines melted off of those huge 500-foot tall towers. Your banking system will fail. Your refrigeration fails. Your transportation has high probabilities of most of it's going to fail. Your communications by telephones and cell phones, of course, have failed. Landlines, if they didn't melt the wires, you might still have that. But suddenly you're quite excluded from what's going on around the rest of the world, no matter where you are, because you just got hit by a disaster that you don't control. Okay? So what happens when all of a sudden you can't produce any food for yourself? What happens when you have 12 million people like Mexico City in one little town? Or Los Angeles, where you have 9 million people, plus who knows how many other people coming and going all the time. Businesses, Disneyland, you know, the beaches, holidays, all of that. There are more than 9 million people in Los Angeles. The population by census might be 9 million, 10 million people in the greater Los Angeles area. The actual amount of people that are there will be not many times that, but considerably more than that, because you have the people that are delivering supplies, that are, you know, the big truck drivers, the trains, all of that kind of stuff coming and going through there. So suddenly you have an isolated area, and these people don't, not only do they not have any place to grow food, they don't have access to any kind of seed that is viable for growing. And yes, Monsanto and the United States government are making it quite illegal to save seeds. They are making it quite illegal for you to collect rainwater. Excuse me? A government claiming that water that falls out of the sky belongs to them. Monsanto claiming that because I want to grow heirloom tomatoes, you know, from seeds that are somewhere around 100 or 200 years of lineage backwards through stuff, or who knows even further than that, is illegal, because I can pick one of those tomatoes, cut it in half, pull a few seeds out, plant them on the ground, and start another plant. Just that fast. So you see the problem with a one-world dictatorship, where your food, your environment, the kind of culture you allow, and the energy are all connected to one entity. Now, like I said, I got Revelations 2:17. I may not like the Christian and Catholic and Jews and Muslims point of view, but as long as they're not trying to kill anybody, I don't care that they have it. So stop and think about what this so-called one-world government is, and how it's actually a one-world dictatorship. And they are literally setting you up for it by running around and saying that immigration is bad. As a Native American, Indigenous, First Nation people who lived on North America say, if you don't like immigration coming here and immigrants coming here, when are you leaving? You Europeans, Europe's over there. This ain't Europe. This is North America. It ain't even North America. It's got a different name that they had. How many places has the Europeans gone and put their name on those mountains that don't belong to them? Put their name on those lakes and valleys and streams and plants and oceans that don't belong to them. Yeah. So that's why I say you need to stop, really think about it. You need to stop and think about what a difference is. If you have a one-world planet organization that is in favor of everybody having equal rights, everybody having an equal say, then yeah, GMO's out the frickin' door, man. If I want heirloom tomatoes and heirloom corn and heirloom beans and heirloom wheat, then by golly gimbals, I should be allowed to have it. The GMO stuff, you probably would be a lot smarter just simply banning, because it has polluted the system. It's like the monarch butterflies, which happen to pollinate an awful lot of plant life, are being poisoned by the GMO, Monsanto, genetic modification routine to allow them to use higher grades of pesticides and poisons. Okay? The oil industry running around and telling everybody that, oh, you can't make plastic out of anything except petroleum. Really? Marijuana plant can make an oil that can be used for cooking and plastics and paints. And you got, all that fiber that makes cloth. It was used for rope. Bamboo works. Other types of plants also produce plant oils that can be used to make herbal plastics. That, unlike the plastics I'm standing on, or this piece of plastic here, okay? Unlike this plastic, which will last a few billion years before it deteriorates and very down to nothing, a plant plastic deteriorates in a couple of years. It doesn't become a burden. It doesn't become a murder instrument to all of your sea life and all of your bird life. So you need to stop and really look at the reality of what you're being told. It is not good to have one form of food. It is not good to have one religion. It is not good to have one political party. It is not good to have one government that is run by one little elitist group. It is good to listen to everybody everywhere. You can't prove that you are any genetically different, other than maybe you got more suntan or less suntan than them. But you're quite willing to murder people. That's a dictatorship, folks. That's a fascism system when somebody jumps up and down and says, Colin Kaepernick, and sorry, Colin, if I mess up your name here, is somehow wrong for taking a knee, which has been a sign of respect for a couple of thousand years, something like about 4,000 years. People have been bowing and taking a knee to something higher up. They kneel before God. So there was nothing disrespectful. He was simply making a statement about how badly people are treated. And yet people rant and rave about how he is disrespectful, when they are literally disrespecting the entire illusionary idea of the United States being a democracy and being for peace and freedom. 200, let's see, this is 2018, so technically it should be 242 years the United States has been in operations as a government. 223 of those years, the United States government has been directly involved in somebody's war somewhere. And in most cases, you can find that the United States government really did do some dirty work. I.e., there's stuff that you can go back and research and see that, yeah, the United States government did actually use and know how to poke and prod the Japanese into attacking Pearl Harbor. Why? Because just like 9/11, suddenly there was an outcry. Those horrible people attacked us. And you went to war. And who made money and what happened? Your industrial military complex took over. All of your schooling system is now designed around the idea of the industrial complex, okay? And you don't think so? Stop and consider. The NFL became a tax-paying company, corporation, in 2016. The past 100 years, they don't pay taxes because they are in league with the government to create military-ready children. Yeah. 10,000 kids across America get into doing extreme exercise and playing mock football war. What, 100 of those are going to go into the NFL? That leaves 9,900. Got to do something else. And because most of them don't study much of anything, they don't have any other abilities, so they go into the military, where they have this team training that leads them right into, yes, tell me to fire at that and I'll kill it type attitude. So yeah, that's why I say a one planet organization is one thing, and one world government dictatorship is another.